All right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, this is a talk between me and Alex, my friend, on the 3rd of June 2026. We're going to discuss everything, uh, especially what happens in Europe, Middle East, and in our brains. So, Alex, yeah, I hope you're doing good and you're in a mood to discuss something which I think are important, maybe not so much for you. And if you have things which you think are more important than this, you can always cut me and always change the direction of the conversation. So I wanted to start with your perspective on the uh, Romanian, I don't know, psychology or whatever, the way how you people think about Russia, your hatred or whatever it's called, Russophobia, how much it is, what it is.
Russophobia is a good word for it.
But what I think is more important at this moment, because I sent you this today. I sent you something in some videos. Maybe you saw the attack on St. Petersburg. I'm not sure whether you watched the videos, but they were suppressed completely on the Russian media. And this is why I think this is important to discuss it. Were you able to see them? They were broadcasted on Bulgarian television because we always show Ukrainian side, and Zelensky and everybody else was very proud hitting the oil refinery and some warship in the port or harbor there. So, what do you think about this attack? How do you feel it?
So I wasn't actually able to see the videos. I had to go to the office today and was a bit busy. But what seems to be happening is an intensifying of attacks on Russia. So uh, I think it was a week or a couple of weeks ago where there was an attack on the student housing. Then a week later, there was some children getting killed, and now this. And it looks like uh, more and more states are willing to join in on this let's attack Russia. So they've already carried out some attacks from the Baltic states, and I think Romania will at some point join in on that. It's just that's the vibe I'm getting for from how things are going on over here. I'm hoping that will not happen because escalation is never a good thing in this kind of situations. Uh, but yeah, we have a very bad ruling class right now, which are just very subservient to Europe in general, and those guys in Europe will want to throw us in the mid grinder if they can do that.
This is for sure, but I'm interested in the ordinary Romanian people. How do they feel about being part of this conflict? Because uh, I cannot say about Bulgarians. Honestly, I'm starting getting I don't know, confused. But you're because I'm not there, and I cannot say if they want. There are definitely many voices which want to do this, but I don't know. But you're there, so you can tell me how you feel, or not you exactly, but maybe how Romanian people feel about going in a full conflict against Russia.
So a lot of people don't believe that there will be a full conflict against Russia because a significant part of the population actually buys into the Ukraine is winning propaganda still. And we also have, the extremist variant that just wants to kill Russians, kind of like how the Ukrainian extremists are looking at it. I would like to think that those are a very tiny minority, but I I do think they are a small minority, but they're probably not as small as I'd like them to be. Um, but the vast majority of the population just consumes whatever propaganda is fed to them, and right now they're still feeding the Ukrainians winning. And we had that incident with the drone a few days ago. Um, I think it was on the last day of May, if I remember correctly. So there was a drone that crashed on the top of a building, and it was actually a bit funny in how it was being reported because the media straight up went with the Russian drone attacking or whatever. And I remember there was this general that came on TV to reassure the population that we're not going to war, and he mentioned that it was a kamikaze drone, likely a Guarantoo that crashed on the building. Now the thing is that it caused minimal damage. So a drone crashes onto the building, and it's a kamikaze drone, which is designed to take out like at least one floor of the whatever it's crashing into, right? And the actual damages it did is just a few burnt walls, a bit of the ceiling falling down, but not actually tearing a hole into it or anything like that. A couple of people went to the hospital for being wounded by the fire, and a few others were in shock, and that was about it. Like no casualties, no extensive damage to the building, nothing. So yeah, that was the kamikaze drone that hit us in the city of Galatz, which is over in the east side of the country. And it's very interesting because for a drone to reach Galatz, it would either have to go through Moldova or come over the sea, something like that, and enter the country on the eastern side and reach the city. Um,
Yeah, but
and then
it's interesting the media how they uh, presented the whole thing and how population reacted, because I think it's obvious that we are part. I mean, NATO is part of this conflict, so it's expected that some things like this happen when so much weapons are going through Romania to Ukraine.
we have
So,
had those kinds of things happen before. There have been some other, drones losing their way and crashing on Romanian territory. Uh, but some people believe this was sort of not necessarily orchestrated because it's very likely that it was a Russian drone that made it all the way there. Uh, but immediately after this happened, they just fast track Romania's participation in the SAFE program, which is throwing more money at Ukraine and shipping off more weapons and whatever. So that might have been a reason it was presented this way.
yeah,
And when
definitely this can be used always in this direction. This is the normal. What it's, I mean, yeah, it was small thing. I think there are no casualties, so I don't even think that it's worth I mean, discussing it so much. But what was happening today, and it not only today. I mean, few at least a couple of times already through the Baltic states, the drones are attacking Russian territory, which, I mean, which is so far. Like today, Zelensky said 1,100 kilometers away from Ukraine. So they're using the airspace of Litva, of Estonia, Latvia, whatever. They used today the uh, Elon Musk's satellites for the communication, Starlink, and I
they're still
think
using those, I thought the Russians blocked them.
no, they were used. They were used for sure. I don't think Russians can even block them. But
They can in Ukraine. They're not longer using them as much in Ukraine because the Russians figured out how to block them.
not sure. But the thing is, it was at least what they say. They were used through Finland, using Finland's network. But the thing is, how do you feel about these attacks from a third party territory? Because it is dangerous, I think. And to me, I don't know, but if I'm Russia, on a Russian side, I would just like give an ultimatum. If more drones coming through your territory, I'll just attack your territory. Does it sound reasonable or unreasonable? How do you think?
So I was reading an article that is actually not about the war recently. We had, but it ties into this a bit. So we had a guy, Alexander Tudor, who used to be a referee, and before the revolution in '89, he used to be a football player, and he stopped being a football player because in the revolution he wanted to be the brave hero and went out to found a soldier that was had run out of ammunition, and he went there to find more ammunition for the soldier. The opposing party stumbled upon him and shot him in the legs, and he lost his ability to play professional football, so he had to settle for being a referee. And looking back on it, he said that by he realized that by trying to help the soldier get more ammo to shoot at people, he became an accomplice to that, and he understands why he got shot for it. It's the exact same thing that's happening now with the Baltic states. They are accomplices to this, and I'm really surprised that Russia is not doing much about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking so many. I mean, there are so many things that they did. They basically are following the Ukrainian way for the language, for the religion, for the culture, for the monuments. So all these four things they are strictly following what Ukraine did. With their and they also have very big Russian minority. Recently, the Russian parliament adopted uh, a law which would protect every Russian citizen outside. So I think this is in connection exactly with the idea that in certain moment they are going to attack these territories, including Moldova, Prednestrovia, whatever you call it, Transnistria, I think you call it in English. So yeah, I think to me this is the most the hottest place that would be there because many Europeans, I mean, from NATO and from those countries, they want to attack. Um, I forgot the name of this city, Kaliningrad. Maybe you know it's enclave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's
Russian enclave.
yeah, so it's territory which many countries around want to attack. So it will be interesting. I think the next few days what will going to happen there. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm expecting after today's attack and of course the attack on the bus which happens in Donbass, there will
I don't
be.
think an attack on Kaliningrad would be wise because that is Russian territory, and you know it could turn Kaliningrad into a staging area for the war expanding into the rest of the continent, which I don't think they actually want that. Like they would want to attack Russia without getting more action closer to Europe. So this is why they're actually drone striking Russia from the Baltic countries because they can strike at mainland Russia. Striking at Kaliningrad would bring the war further to the west, and that's not what they want.
This is actually one of my other topics which I wanted to discuss. So, the whole desire of Western leaders, and I would also include some nations to have a real war with Russia. But I guess you're trying to say that they actually don't want it, or at least they don't want a direct.
No, they do want the war, but you know, they like everyone who wants a war, they would prefer to be on their own terms. So they don't want to deal with the kind of unrest that a war would bring, especially if it gets closer to their own country. So if they can keep it within Russia and Ukraine, that's the best scenario for them. And they can have a war with Russia like that. They don't really need to bring Kaliningrad into this.
But I think they are preparing the Baltic states as well because I don't.
Oh, they've been preparing those for a very long time, but I think they just want to keep using them against mainland Russia, not Kaliningrad.
What I really am interested of your perspective. How did will Russia actually attack Tallinn, for example, of I mean Estonia or Riga, some of these cities, because they're so close and the Russophobic people are there so loud. So I think
It's
they
the same all across, like that eastern sort of like a wall of countries, that's bordering the hotbed of Ukraine and Russia. All of them are kind of like that. Um,
Yeah, but it's
so I think the reason Russia is not attacking, like they have very good reasons to attack. They have good reasons to attack even Romania because all of the arms shipments to Ukraine for the past few years, I think now 2 or 3 years, maybe since Poland basically pulled out of most of that, have been going through Romania. So we're basically arming Ukraine now, like not necessarily sending our own weapons, but everybody also sends weapons, sends them through our country. So that they have reasons to attack Romania as well. They're not doing that, and they're not attacking anyone other than Ukraine right now because I think uh, that they believe Europe is really insignificant and doesn't really have any sort of leverage. Like Ukraine is looking like it's going to be a Russian victory, and there's nothing Europe can do about that. And Russia has some specific goals to achieve in Ukraine, and even with Europe attacking Russia, they're not able to deter them from achieving those goals.
You know what is interesting? I think yesterday I read about the decision to move the production of drones to Canada from, I think, from Ukraine. But I also heard that Romania will also start building Rheinmetall factory,
Yes.
very big, which already Bulgaria started. I think, I'm not sure whether it's already started, but yeah, they did the same contract and everything, so of production of weapons or whatever it was. So how do you feel about this? I mean, yeah, I think the factories which produce weapons cannot be located in Ukraine directly. It's obvious, but how about, I mean, this moving them to Bulgaria and Romania? Is it wise? I mean, will Russia strike them because Canada is too far? I think, but I think it makes really a lot of sense to start hitting those factories whenever they are built. I guess.
Not necessarily. Like there's arms factories all across Europe, particularly like in France and Germany, and you know nobody's hitting those. Well, those are farther away. So the factory that Armenia got, I think they're just repurposing an old factory that Ryan Metal bought. I think if I remember correctly, it was sold for pennies, basically. Um, they will not strike it because that would give Romania a legitimate reason to trigger NATO Article 5, for example.
And
Like a
what about
straight
it?
drone crashing, that can be seen as sort of an accident. It's not like an intentional attack, but if Russia strikes a factory on Romanian territory, it will trigger Article 5, and I think Russia's trying to avoid that,
Yeah, yeah, I
which is
agree. I would agree with you regarding this, but what would Article 5 actually trigger? Because it's very vague. We don't know what will
well,
actually.
basically make the war official, on all fronts, and it will make countries start doing conscriptions,
Yeah, but
military
but
economy,
but
that kind of stuff.
but we are. I mean, our economies more or less are on that track already. Or I mean, not headed, at least headed to this direction, and so you think that, I mean, I'm sure that we are not going to start striking Russia. I mean, I think we're not going to start striking. If they hit us, they will not strike us back. No, if they hit us, we will not strike them back. This is what I think. But maybe you think differently. So you think we can start? I mean, if we if Russians hit, for example, Romania, you think the whole NATO will start hitting targets in Russia?
Yes, and maybe the Americans as well. And that's the thing. Like, even if Trump wants to kind of like pull out of NATO, they haven't done that. And Article 5 would mandate the Americans to start striking at Russia. And that would escalate very, very quickly.
I
Even
really.
the threat of escalation is something that everybody's trying, well, at least Russia is trying to avoid. So they're not going to strike like that. They're not going to strike within Europe.
I
unless they can somehow excuse it as a limited defensive strike, kind of how they've been doing it in the Iran war. But I don't think Russia will stoop to that.
I honestly, I see it very differently. And maybe because I'm geographically located in Spain, but I see it like they're preparing the whole Eastern Europe like flank for fight with Russia, for a direct fight, while we are going to just provide you weapons. So once Ukraine is not capable of to continue, the whole eastern flank should be activated. And
Yes, but if the Eastern Flank is activated and countries start going to war with Russia, they can no longer trigger Article 5 because that's for a defensive purpose. If they attack Russia themselves, they are
so this is
on the
interesting.
offensive and cannot trigger Article
So
5.
are you saying that you expect offensive I mean that we first
They're
strike?
already doing offensives. They're launching drone strikes from the Baltic states. That's offensive.
That is offensive, but yeah, if Russia hits them back, you think that they're going to activate Article 5 on this? I don't think so.
Um, I'm not entirely sure exactly how that can plan out because the the strikes they've been doing, they've been trying to be really hush hush about them and just dismiss any claim to the country as Russian propaganda. So officially, they are not striking Russia. Like Russia would have to somehow prove that they've been striking Russia to have a real casus belli to strike back without triggering Article 5 because all the other nations in NATO are going to be like, they didn't actually strike Russia. Those strikes came from Ukraine or whatever. They're just going to go with that. It's going to require some sort of irrefutable evidence of Russia striking back in self-defense and going against the lunatics that are just screaming and pointing at Russia for everything. It's very difficult to do a defensive strike in that way because the risk of Article 5 is still there. Now, the risk might not be like 100%, but until anyone can say with certainty if there is a risk or no risk, they would rather not risk it because they don't want that de escalation with all of NATO to make it official.
I don't know. I'm I mean from for me, we are doing everything to make people in Europe want to be part in the real war with Russia. And
Yes, we are. And at some point, the bubble will burst, but we're not at that point yet. And until we are, Russia is likely not going to strike back. And when the bubble does burst, then Russia will have its casus belli and will be able to strike back without any risk of triggering Article 5. Sure,
oh,
there might be some countries that want to join in on the fight against Russia, but they will not be able. I mean, even the United States itself might invalidate anyone that wants to trigger Article 5 based on that.
so
Because the United States does not want a direct military confrontation with Russia. They're already busy in Iran. Um, they actually stopped sending weapons to Ukraine, at least officially,
they are still sending a
because they
lot of.
need them to defend Israel right now.
Yeah,
So they're
yeah.
pretty busy with that.
This
If
is
the war in Iran stops, that might actually be bad news for the Ukraine front.
if it stops, because I think this is the opposite. If the war in Iran really starts, because I'm expecting it to start soon, then Israel will need a lot of Patriot and everything else. So there will be
Yeah,
nothing
that
for.
means less for Ukraine,
Yes, it's
so
really.
less resistance to
And
Russia.
I even think that what happened last, I mean, I think 3 days or 4 days ago, or even I think, I'm not sure, 2 days ago, when there was a really big attack from Russia on Kiev.
On
uh,
Kiev, yeah.
they didn't have any air defense system, because I watched for, I think, 3 minutes. Rockets were falling and nothing was stopping them. There was some really really good videos, uh, which was very surprising for me, because probably they are no longer having anything as an air defense. And this is also, I mean, what is surprising for me is why Russia is not taking advantage of this. And this is my prediction that at certain moment Russia will have to start doing crazy things like hitting civilian buildings, targets, and everything. Because I mean, how do you feel about the conventional war? Because this is a
I mean,
conventional war. Is it even winnable by Russia? How do you feel about it?
well, technically, Russia has been hitting civilian buildings because the Ukrainians repurposed them for military
Yeah, that's true. But I
usage.
mean, they're obviously not doing it on. I mean, like
Not doing it to strike civilians, they're doing it to strike
carpet
military
bombing,
targets
like
that have
what
been
Israel is
targeted
doing.
from. Yeah. Um, so I wanted to go back a little bit to the attacks on Russia. And if you notice a pattern with the attacks, most of them have been hitting civilian targets and have very little to do with actual military targets that they might have wanted to hit in Russia. I mean, the oil refinery, maybe you can call it that, but the student housing, that had nothing to do with it. That reeks of desperation. A country that's engaged in war, that is, that has an active path to victory and has a plan for that, is not striking at random or not doing these kinds of terror attacks on the population. Ukraine has nothing. They have no intelligence on where the actual military targets are, and they have no resources to push back the Russians, from what used to be their own borders. And this is why they are resorting to this right now. They're basically just random strikes. Let's strike where we can make cause the most casualties, and that's also has to do with the fact that Zelensky has been promoting the head terrorist Budanov now to head the military. So you're going to see an increase in that, and as long as they keep striking civilian targets, it just means that they don't really have a plan. They're just desperate.
Yeah, but honestly, I mean, I think one of the newest maybe already, I think more than 3 months, what's happening, maybe you know already, this what Ukraine is doing is using drones, and these drones are putting mines on the highways. So there is a highway which connects Crimea with Melitopol and all this, I don't know, basically Russia. So the whole highway was flooded with mines. So a lot of trucks and a lot of civilian cars were basically destroyed. I mean, with people and everything. And there is no now there is a complete shortage of oil on in Crimea. They have to go with special cards or whatever these are called, coupons, to actually get oil on the gas station. And I think this is working as a tactic. This is a terroristic approach. But I think if Russia is not taking the similar approach like carpet bombing or indiscriminate shooting, it won't continue. I mean, this cannot be sustainable like this. One side is doing crazy things, the other side is trying not to do crazy things. So, do you think this is
Yeah,
sustainable
and the
in a
side that
long?
is not doing the crazy things is going to win. Because that's how you win a war. You have to have a plan, you have to have a strategy, and you have to follow that strategy all the way to the end, to the goals that you want to get
Yeah, but it's
from the
already
war. And
almost
Russia,
5 years. It's almost 5 years, and I think Russian nation is tired of doing this type of war. I think at
well,
least
that's
I
for them to decide, but I don't know exactly
you
what
know,
the
I can give you
state of that is.
an example. I'm not sure whether you listen to Stanislav Krapivnik, which is one of my favorite commentators, and he has channel and so on. He was a former American, so whatever officer. I mean, from he was born in Russia, then I mean in Ukraine, then moved to America, immigrated with his parents when he was a child, then he went back to Russia. But the thing is, when they ask him, okay, what are the feelings of people, because he's living in Moscow, and he says, first, I mean, they asked him about Kremlin and the government is, he said, is very different from what people want. He said, literally, people in Moscow want Kiev to be crater, uh, Lvov to be crater, Kharkov to be crater, and so on, and maybe London and few other places as well, like Baltic states. So people who are really fed up with all these, I mean, killings, terroristic attacks, and this type of doing war like a chess. So every time Russia's, I mean, government, they say, okay, this is a retaliation for the attack on the school, on the bus, on whatever, this whatever happens. This is a chess. This is not a war. I think. Don't you see it this way? I mean, this is not serious to continue like this.
So the point here being that the population is becoming afraid of these terrorist strikes that they're
No, the
doing in Russia.
population is not afraid at all. The population is angry that Vladimir Putin is using very little force. He's not using the real bombs. He's not doing carpet bombing. Everybody
Well,
is comparing with Netanyahu, with
that kind
Americans.
of anger will only support, intensifying the war effort then.
I mean, yeah, they
Maybe
want
the
it.
population would like Putin to carpet bomb Ukraine and the offending states, but again, there's reasons they don't want to do that. They don't want to escalate a lot more than they have to.
And this is the most probably most important question: why they don't want to escalate, at least within the boundaries of Ukraine. And, I mean, today Mark Rutte was in Kiev. Nobody is. I mean, he's. I mean, there is a whatever television crew. Everybody is there on the main train station in Kiev. I don't know. Oreshnik is flying for, I think, 13 minutes or less, like 10 minutes or something. They can just hit the station there. Why they don't do it? I don't understand it. Why? Okay, I would understand if you
It's
go
a
for
good question.
civilians, but why you don't go? Because everybody from Russian governments, this is a terroristic state. For us, these are terrorists. They are saying the same mantra. This is a terrorist government, and so on. This is illegitimate. Okay, but why you don't do anything? They don't strike the buildings, the government buildings. What will happen if you just destroy parliament or whatever? I don't understand it.
I mean, destroying a parliament building doesn't necessarily have to kill the people working in it if they're not there at the time. So it can be just a symbolic strike, for example. That
Yeah,
would
there needs to
not
be
be
symbolic
too much
strike.
of a
They
deal.
don't even do this. Or the main train station, because every, like,
They actually
politician,
did hit the train stations.
they do, but not the main train station in Kiev, and they can. It's obvious. I mean, I don't understand why they don't do it. Let them walk. I
Maybe
mean,
they want to keep Kiev intact
they want
for
for von der
later.
Leyen to come and for Mark Rutte and everybody else to just to come with a train. I mean, this is a weird. I don't know the answer of this. I think it's more
Me
deep.
neither, to be honest. I mean, we can make suppositions, but it's just trying to guess
Yeah,
whatever they're
it's
thinking.
very weird to me. Why? I mean, there are other things which they don't. I mean, especially railway, they should be targeting mostly on railway, because this is the way how the weapons are actually entering from Poland and Romania or whatever, and they don't do this. I don't know. I mean, I thought, okay, maybe they just want all
Well,
the
the thing
weapons
with
to
the
enter.
weapons is that they want the weapons to enter Ukraine so they can destroy them. It's also destroying Europe's military capabilities, right? Because if those weapons would not be able to make it to Ukraine, they'd just be produced and sitting around in Europe where Russia could not strike them. If the weapons make it to Ukraine, the weapons can be destroyed.
This is interesting logic, but these weapons they also can shoot when they're already on Ukraine soil. It's
Yes,
a double
but
sword.
again, because Ukraine is doing these desperation strikes, it shows they have little intelligence of what they should actually be shooting at.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
it's a calculated risk. Like, you go to war, you expect to have casualties, and you have to like strategize where you can afford to lose some things and lives, and uh, where you should not.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe they just decided that it's worth sacrificing, taking some losses in order to destroy the weapons of Europe and just leaving Europe completely open to attack. Because suppose they keep sending all these weapons, they're not producing them at a rate that's high enough to replenish them, right? So they're going to run out at some point. And the war in Ukraine is a war of attrition. They want to slowly grind away the Azov like extremists in Ukraine in the meat grinder, and it's also to grind away the weapons that Europe has, and it's working. And
yeah,
this is maybe also the reason why they're not striking here, because that might end it too quickly. They 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 don't really want to end it. They want the slow grind to keep going until Europe is finished.
this is really interesting. It's possible that also, yeah, because I always thought, and I'm probably a victim of the Russian propaganda, that they want this war to end. But you might be right. Maybe they don't want the war to end as well. Like Europe, I don't think anybody in from the European elites they want the war to end. I think maybe both sides really like this to continue as much as they can, from the Russian elites, the European elites, and they're just playing a chess game. Which,
Yeah, they do.
you know what? I was just thinking, but maybe it's very important, more important than these things, is your perspective on Moldova, because to me, Moldova is kind of a mystery uh, regarding its future. I can tell you my how I see it. I think the Russian minority. I mean, I expect Moldova to be the next Ukraine. Transnistria to be the spark, and half of Moldova. Okay, okay. If you cannot hear me,
Sorry, the sound is breaking up too bad.
I
I
don't
cannot
understand. Okay, okay.
understand what you're saying.
Let me stop it then. Let's stop then. If you cannot hear me, you cannot hear me, right?
Yes, you're broken up right now. Okay, now it sounds a bit better, but you said something about Moldova, Transnistria, but that was
Okay,
all I could
okay.
pick
It's
up from
weird
it.
because um it's weird. Maybe my microphone is actually captured correctly, and because I hear you very, very well, loud
Okay,
and
so it
clear.
must be my connection then.
It's maybe the way how things are coming to you. So probably we are good for everything. But I mean, I will just repeat my question. You hear me right now?
Uh, Better than before, but
Okay,
not
or
completely.
just tell me how you feel about Moldova's future and Transnistria as part of Moldova, Russia, and everything. Because I think it's the next Ukraine.
Okay, so Moldova used to be kind of this meme or this joke that would just not end, and now it's becoming serious. So the most recent thing I've heard about it, I read that they want to fast track their way into Europe. Like if in 2 years they're not allowed into the European Union, they just want to join Romania. And this is very funny because Romanians actually invited them to join, over the years many times, and even the current government of Maya Sandu rejected that. So now they just decided the other way around in order to be in Europe, which is the government in Moldova is basically a puppet government for Europe. Maya Sandu is part of the uh, what they call women leaders of Europe or whatever, some girls who code equivalent for politicians, I
Yeah, yeah,
guess.
yeah. It's a puppet. It's
Yeah,
obvious.
yeah. So if they actually get into the European Union, it's probably angers some of the states who've had to do actual work to get it in there, because Moldova is pretty much a shithole. It's also why a lot of Romanians don't actually want Moldova to join up with Romania, because they're just going to completely drag down our economy. and consume a lot of resources without actually producing much, because Moldova is not a big producer of anything really. So it would probably be a net loss. Like the only thing we would gain is the reunification as a whole for the national sentiment. That's pretty much it. Everything else would just bog us down. And Moldova is also very pro-war with Russia. It's gotten really Russophobic in recent years, um, which is surprising because it used to be more pro-Russia. That's actually why it's separated from Romania. It was separated by force by Russia, and Russia tried to Russify the people in Moldova. That's how they started speaking the Russian language and making it official. The schools and the education and everything was used to be in Russian. Uh, but yeah, now they decided they want to break away with Russia, and they just went to the other deep end, uh, where they're kind of turning into a second Ukraine. It's this failed state, that's very corrupt, doesn't really help the region in any way. Now it's going into this opposite extreme, uh, where it's just becoming for Russophobes.
So your prediction about it, will it get into war with Russia, or it would just be safe
No,
as part
no,
of
they will
Romania?
not go by themselves at war with Russia, and they also have Transnistria to contend with. It's or one region they claim, but it's de facto independent because there's been some uh, militarized clashes over that. They'll be looking to join Romania, and it will depend very much on who's in power at the time when they will come to us with that request. Because in Romania there are some factions that are very nationalistic and they might bite, like the Our Party, who is also very pro-Zionist, pro-Israel, and kisses Trump's ass every chance they get. I would see them, if they ever get in power, God forbid, that they accept the offer from Moldova, and then maybe we go to war against Russia together,
You know,
and that would be bad for us.
I don't wanna spend so much time on this talk with you because it's too late already in Romania. I just want to ask you one final question, Alex. How is the freedom of speech in Romania? How free you feel there?
Um, Not free at all. So freedom of speech has been going down the drain. We have this Jew in parliament who's been promoting uh, some laws he's made that introduced heavier and heavier penalties for hate speech kind of stuff. And there are movements that are protesting against this, but the politicians aren't actually doing anything about it. We have some MPs from the more quote unquote extremist parties, far right, whatever, that have been trying to fight against this, but since they don't have a majority in parliament, they got struck down every single time. And they're just promoting these kinds of laws with impunity, because the current government coalition, just lets them do it. The president surprisingly tried to oppose it because he realized it's a very stupid law. Like, our president is not actually an idiot, but he is autistic. So that makes him look like an idiot. But when it comes to certain things, he figures out what's actually going on. So with this thing, he actually tried to push back on it a little bit, but Parliament and the Senate just forced him to accept it. So yeah, it's been getting very bad because right now you cannot criticize a certain people here in Romania, and it's the Jews.
Yeah, this
So if you
this
say anything bad about them in public, you can go to prison.
yeah, this is honestly very shocking. But I think we have to. I mean, we should make another call, another talk, probably next week, and probably entirely on the Middle East or West Asia or whatever you call it,
Oh yeah, we
because
didn't get to that.
yeah, this I
I mean, I can
intentionally,
talk more if you want
I
because
inte-
right now your sound is also gotten a lot better for me.
yeah, but I'm really tired, and
Okay.
I wanna go to sleep and relax because I was so tired, and with a headache I'm not very good at the moment. But yeah, definitely we have to speak, and I wanna hear your perspective on the Middle East, especially Lebanon. And now I think things are intensifying in Lebanon. Probably next week we'll see
Beirut,
escalation on
or
in between Israel and Iran and America, of course. So probably there will be a lot of things to discuss next week.
yep.
So that will be
And
our
things might
next.
happen before then, and we'll have more things even to talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. But to me, the more interesting front is there. I mean, more unexpected things can happen. What is really amazing to me is how the prices of oil are still, I mean, relatively okay. Uh, this is surprising, very surprising, with the Strait of Hormuz closed. I didn't expect this for 3 months, but everything looks stable. But let's see next week. All right, thank you
Look
very
to
much, Alex.
China.
And yeah, let's speak next week.
All right. Thanks so much for having me. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.